So then I told him, I said, other guy, there is no I in piano, but there is a me.
Yeah, I know. I was there, boy. I was the prostitution, the private prosthetic attorney.
Simon, tell the piano joke again. It's quite whimsical.
It's not a joke, okay? It's common sense. It's basically a meme at this point. There is no I in piano. It's a team instrument.
That's a good one, boy. It makes it easier to sneak up on, because they can't see me.
Don't you give me those puppy dog eyes, Ben Tramer. You do this every time I bring up the piano. How can I resist that look? Okay, fine. You can play the piano on your own. That's fine.
You're an ivory tickler, huh? Hey, how you guys doing? What's up? It doesn't matter. Who cares? Look, I was thinking about going into voice acting. You think I could use your studio?
No way, you're terrible.
Yeah, you like the Michael Bay pool vacuums of voice acting, because, you suck. It's kind of like if somebody ordered a voice actor off Wish.com, and then they came in, and then they fed them Taco Bell, and you would end up in the toilet. That's your voice. That's your voice, boy! That's your voice! On your face!
Nuh-uh. You don't even know, okay? I'm good. I practice all the time, and I got some agents. I got the hookups, G.
Whatever. You sound like you got a bunch of cartoon impersonations and you just butchered them. It's terrible.
You're probably one of them losers that drive down the road and people laugh at you because you're talking to yourself in your car, aren't you? What a sucker.
Hey, if you're so good, let's see what you got.
Okay, we'll play some voice acting horse, okay? Let's see, I'll go first. Look at me, I'm the Terminator. Come with me if you want to live. Okay, hasta luego, baby.
That's a P. My turn. Yo, look at me. I'm Ron Schwarzenegger. Look at me. I'm the governor of Nevada. Look at me. True lies.
Okay, my turn now. Yeah, look at me, pumping the iron on my big biceps and pecs of steel. For it is I, Ronald Schwarzenegger, Ronnie Armenhammer, Ronald Schwarzklapper. I am the kindergarten cop. No other kindergarten cop but me. There is no potty. The potty gone. No potty break. Eat your vegetables. It's not a tumor. Daddy is a gynecologist.
Well, I think we all know who won that round. That's a Y for you, Drake Cup. You're treading on thin ice now. What do you got?
For this round, I'm gonna be Robert De Niro Dylan. You looking at me? Or my harmonica?
Okay, well. How about you look at wheel the cannonball to fly before I meet the parents?
Yeah, that's a thing. You're a horse. You lose.
Fine, Dad. I'll just go into podcasting then. I have great ideas, okay? Great ones.
Wait a sec, your terrible idea just gave me a fantastic one.
Has this ever happened to you?
Man, I'm so bummed because I got this part in my podcast where I want to go from one place to another. But there's an undesignated amount of time in between those two places because I can't count.
Oh, man, that is the worst, brother. I can't count either. I really wish there was some way that we could indicate a designated amount of time to the listening audience.
It sounds like you need a transition.
What?
I'm not so sure this is the product we should be advertising for.
He means a segue to get from point A to point F. Just like a horse. That's what I really need for my podcast, too.
Well, want no more. Introducing Placebo Segues, the revolutionary new system to help you to remember to put transition FX into your podcast. Just take a listen to this transition FX.
Wowee. That really gets me there, if you know what I mean.
You mean to tell me that your product will do that for me?
Well, no, but it will remind you to do that. Just envision it. You're at the park, and you want to go back to the apartment, but you have a blank space in between those two audio segments. What are you going to do? You're going to put this in there. Please insert transition effects.
Okay, I guess that's kind of helpful.
What do you mean kind of helpful? That's insane. I can't believe they're letting it go at the low price. Whatever it is they're charging.
Hey, let's check out all the samples. Look at this one. It's the sympathetic one.
Oh, hey, man, insert a transition effect too. You forgot.
You got any more?
Yeah, this one's the assertive reminder.
No, man, I think you should insert a transition effect too. You forgot.
Oh, that's worth the asking price alone. I am just highly inspired.
That's because Uncle Rico only cares about two things in life: the football state championship and inspiring you. And with Placebo Segue, you will not only be reminded to insert transition effects, you will be inspired to insert transition effects.
What? Look at this. They have a seductive one. Please insert transition effects.
Wow, what's that one that says intellectual on it?
Oh, I wish I knew. I can't read. Point to it.
Click on it and find out.
Okay.
You should probably insert some transition effects here.
Yikes, that one sucked. Nobody bats 100. I'm sure the next one will be better.
Placebo Segway's process is very easy. You simply pay us 3 payments of $299.99. Download your files, and then whenever you need a transition in your podcast, simply insert the reminder instead. And then later, go back and add in a transition. Whose idea was this?
Oh boy, that extra step in production really makes me appreciate my brand more.
That's right, because Placebo Supplements is all about brand recognition. In fact, Placebo Segways is the only transition reminder package that includes celebrity endorsements.
Hey, this is Ronnie Oppenheimer. Leave a message at the beep while I'm pumping out. Insert a transition. Get to the chopper.
Oh, yes, Ronald. Thank you for that advice. At Placebo Supplements, we love choppers, the helicopters, and the motorcycles. I believe we all remember this guy from that one role.
Oh, hey, this is Owen Pillsbury. I'm just here to remind you about that transition. Wow. I ain't ever seen a transition like that. What a segue. Wow. Just wow. You can derelict my transition. Wow.
I will derelict my own transition. Thank you very much. Blue Steel.
Well, hey, baby, this is washing powders. Transition. Yeah, baby.
Hi, my name is Porist Chump. And Mama always said transitions are like a box of chocolates. Delicious.
Yeah, this is Pocky Balchora. You can tune off fish, but you can't tune off starfish. Get over transition.
This is rash ketchup. And I'm telling you that gotta catch 'em all. Transitions. Collect 'em all. Transition.
You think you're all right now. But what happens when you need a transition? Yeah.
You know I went home last night, now you with some mashed potatoes. What? Green peas? What? Chicken pizza? What? Beef stroganoff? What? And that's kinda weird, cause I made a meat, but that's okay. And then I washed it down with a cold, hard transition. And a ginger ale. But man, need a transition. Now give me an oh, yeah, if you're down with the transition.
To be the man, you gotta transition like the man. Woo! Now get in line for Transition Mountain. Oldest ride in the park, longest line. You'll come down a changed man. Woo!
To be the man, you gotta beat the man. To get mad for Segway Mountain, you come down it. You basically come down. Woo!
Placebo Segways. Do they really exist? No, but you'll remember to put them in your podcast. Probably.
And we are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages above the age of 18. This is the show that keeps giving you the things that you don't want at the times you don't want them, which is approximately every 2 weeks. This is Regular Time, just a regular show about the regular show. I'm your host, that one guy with the name that's hard to say and nobody cares. I hope you're ready to have a regular time, because I sure am. Today's show is brought to you by absolutely nobody, because they wouldn't sponsor our Sorry Hinians. Oh, guitar solo. Okay, that's enough of that crap. Boy, that schnapp sure can fake his way through the guitar. Maybe that was the meatball. I'm not sure. I think the one that was a little sloppy sounding with the vocoder there was the meatball, because he doesn't have any fingers. Huh. Anyway, I did forget to mention, actually, we may have a sponsor. The guys told me that maybe some placebo company, something about, I don't know, Segues or something. I don't know. I think I actually forgot to put a segue in, or whatever. It'll be all right. Before we get into the show today, by the way, we have a pretty good episode. I think I mentioned it last week. But before we get into the show today, just a couple updates. Yes, I'm probably about 6 months late bringing you this news, but our efforts have not been in vain, ladies and gentlemen. The regular show is receiving a spin-off series. And you're like, hey, dummy, yeah. That was announced 6 months ago. I know, sorry. It was just announced maybe last week as of the recording of this, okay? Sorry, that's what happens when you record 15 shows in advance. Whatever, weird like that. It'll be all right. I'm super excited. I don't know what it'll be. I actually hope it continues upon the regular show series. I don't know. I think from what I was reading on it, though, it's going to be kind of a tangential show. A lot of people were commenting they wanted like precursors of the guys at the park without Mordecai and Rigby. Maybe. I don't know. I'm just excited to see J.G. Quintel doing something. I'm really hoping that they don't do it the way they did Close Enough and make it like an adult cartoon. I think I've mentioned this before, but I think that the regular show, and nothing against Close Enough, but I think regular show is just a superior show, because when they put the limiters and the governors on the things that they could really get away with or show on screen, or, when they had to put out a show that was targeted towards, preteen, teenage kids, they just had to be more creative. Same thing with like Animaniacs, the way that they got away with a lot of stuff, but they had to dress it up, but they had to get really creative. That's all I'm going to say. I think with shows like South Park and stuff like that, and you've heard me say before, I haven't watched many episodes of South Park, and I don't know much about that show, but I'm just thinking maybe, I guess Family Guy would be a better example. There's some creativity in there, but it's just like they can just do whatever they want. So, or pretty much, I mean, they can just put a lot more on screen, so they don't have to get as clever with, and in some regards, that kind of frees them up to be more creative. But I think in the case of the regular show universe, it's one of those cases that limitations spawn creativity. So anyway, also announced with at whatever convention that was, Gumball's coming back. Quite honestly, I don't care. Moving on. Adventure Time. Sorry if you those that like Gumball. I just don't care much for it. Maybe one day I will. I've just seen a little bit of it, and yeah, whatever. Moving on. Adventure Time is getting another series targeted towards, I think, like preschoolers or something. And I think it's going to be called like Adventure Time Side Quests. I don't know if that's, I guess for that target, that age target, that might be the smartest thing, not get too deep into the stories or whatever. But I got to thinking about that while I was driving the other day, and I think, quite honestly, regular show is more of a show that would benefit from the side quest type, because that's basically what every episode is. It's a side quest, You don't really get into like a big, super overarching. Well, I guess you do earlier on, seasons 2 and 3, mainly season 3 on. But like, you really don't get into like super storytelling mode until about the last season. So, and then the last episodes at that, well, I don't know, maybe the last season, let's put it that way. Adventure Time, they start about maybe season 4, season 5. It really cranks up the storytelling elements and it puts them in overdrive. And I think that's the strength of that show. Besides the, you got Tom Kenny being awesome as Ice King and John DiMaggio as Jake. And I mean, great performance and everything. But I think like the world building is what makes Adventure Time strong. And everything in there is just more immersive, I guess. Whereas regular show seems like it would benefit from a side quest episodic format. Put it to you this way. I think that the filler material, I guess air quotes or whatever, would be more entertaining coming from regular show. I think that's the case. A lot of these filler episodes that aren't part of the main arc with like Margaret or, the last space arc or whatever, most of the episodes are regular show, they're more entertaining than the filler episodes for Adventure Time, which serve a purpose. I mean, you're getting character development a lot of the times, or there's some sort of like artistic statement being made, or you got the Grables episodes. But I think you get what I'm saying. The main story arc with like the Lich and the Mushroom War and Ice King's origins and the Elementals and all that jazz, that's the strength of Adventure Time. So I don't know how that'll fare. But I'm not complaining. Crap, it's a preschool show. I'll probably end up watching it. Stupid as that sounds. I'll definitely be watching the regular show spinoff. I don't know how. Lord, I don't know if I've got to think about it. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to get through season 8. I'm pretty sure I'm going to try. Man, I'll be podcasting until I'm flipping 97 years old if I make it that long. So I don't know, Lord willing. Yeah, so I don't know how I'll cover those. I don't know if I'll cover them simultaneously alongside the podcast or if I'm going to, move on afterwards. I don't know. I'm really hoping I can start getting some more regular guests on here to kind of do that with, though. I don't know, though. Whatever. It'll be fun. What else happened? Scooby-Doo. Of course. After and I haven't watched the series, but I hear the Velma series is terrible. I haven't watched it. And just to be fair, I mean, I guess to be fair, I haven't watched it, but to be frank, I don't plan on watching it. But Scooby-Doo is getting, from what I've read, I read like a couple articles, but what they describe as a Scooby-Doo anime, and that just that excites me because I love Scooby-Doo. That was the whole reason for my Boomerang subscription. I mean, I watched so many iterations of Scooby-Doo. I love Pup Named Scooby-Doo. I love the new Scooby-Doo Adventures. Love the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? I love What's New Scooby-Doo. I really, really love Mystery Incorporated. I like a lot of, I like seeing how all the characters develop. And I think the most dynamic character, I don't know. They all change a little bit. I guess maybe Velma changes the most series through series, but Fred for as plain vanilla as you think Fred would be, he seems to change a decent bit between series. Anyway, getting off on tangents there. I'm excited for the Scooby-Doo thing. Wish I had time to podcast about that, but I don't. I would never get finished with Scooby-Doo. There's just so much. Oh my gosh. I love Scooby-Doo though. I would love to actually sit down and do like a Scooby-Doo podcast, kind of like Rob and I do Turtles Forever, where we slowly but surely we kind of creep around and do what we'll do. We did Turtle Vision. We came up with there's Turtle Tales, where we do the Tales of the TMNT comic books, and then sometimes we'll do the original TMT comic books. And I think Rob just doesn't want to get bored with a lot of it. And to me, honestly, it doesn't matter. And I don't know if it's even that for him. I think maybe it might be that. I don't know. I shouldn't be speaking for him. And my speculation, though, is that maybe he thinks the audience will get bored with it. I don't know. But we kind of skip around, and maybe it's just one of them things where that's the way he likes to do things. We cover the very beginning of each series, and we kind of end them all at once, which, I ain't complaining about that. That's fine with me. It keeps things interesting. You never know what you're going to see, and it is kind of cool. One of the benefits of that, just to reiterate, I'm not trying to like poo-poo that approach. I mean, I think that's a pretty, it's got its benefits. It's like for instance, I think we're about to watch an episode of The Next Mutation, which is, it's one of them things. If you didn't like the Ninja Turtles, or just laughing at like, kind of like C tier production, why would you watch it? But we're watching it, and it's really fun because like we'll go and we'll see something, and it'll be like a half a year ago since we saw the last episode, and all these things will just come back and be like, oh yeah, you remember we saw that? And so it's really cool. But we'll skip around, we'll do that, and then we'll do an episode of the '03 series. And so yeah, I would like to kind of do that with Scooby-Doo, to be honest with you. Do something like comparisons, Scooby-Doo, where are you? What's new, Scooby-Doo? All that jazz. Probably try to skip over the Scrappy-Doo crap. Anyway, really comparing the chase sequence music. That's where it's at right there. And I'm going to tell you, some of the best chase music sequences on Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. That was, that's a pretty good one. And who could forget the witch's ghost? Them Hex girls, they could really tear it up. Anyway, outside of that, I read an update from, I think it was Pamela Segal. I think, is that who voices Bobby on King of the Hill? I don't know who I'm talking to. I'm asking somebody, but I don't know who it is. I would really like to know who the 20 of you are that are listening. I know about 2 or 3 of you for certain. Oh, I really got excited the other day because I thought I got a new subscriber, but then I realized that it was because I got a new phone, and I logged in with Spotify with a different email and subscribed to this podcast to where I could check, like levels and everything. So it wasn't a new subscriber, but whatever. I would really like to know who the other 20 people are who are listening. I think I got 4 of them in mind that I know probably who they are. Probably Baxter, Nick Baxter, Tara, Rob, and Ryan over at Talking Snicked. By the way, go give Talking Snicked a listen. X-Men has come back, and I'm sure he does great coverage of that. I just don't want to listen because I don't want to spoil it. I don't have Disney Plus. But I'm sure he does a fantastic job because he did a great job with the original animated series. So anyway, King of the Hill. The voice actor for Bobby Hill, I don't remember her name. I think it's Pamela Segal. I think that's the one. She gave an update to the series. So the series is still happening, apparently, even though Johnny Harwood passed on. So in this iteration, Bobby Hill is now, I think, 21. And he's apparently like a fusion chef. I don't know what a chef is. A fusion chef, the people who cook. It's been a long day. And that's, I'm looking forward to see that because I think that Mike Judge did a great job with Beavis and Butthead and moving them into this generation. And it was really cool how he did it because he used the Beavis and Butthead Do the Universe or whatever to move them, time travel them up to present day in time. But he also had older episodes. So it was like, well, or not older episodes. He moved them to present day in time, but he also, I guess, did an alternate timeline where Beavis and Butthead just grew up, and they were like older guys in present day in time, which those are actually probably more entertaining than them as teenagers. But, people look at that and they're like, the writing, blah, blah, blah. But listen, Mike Judge knew the assignment. Obviously he created Beavis and Butthead, but like for this project, he made Beavis and Butthead. He wrote for Beavis and Butthead. I have the utmost faith that for the King of the Hill project, he will write for King of the Hill. I mean, I don't know how else to put that. Like, there was a major difference between Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill. You could see some similarities when King of the Hill came out, but like you could tell this is a completely different set of like rules or set of premises here. There's less vulgarity. The jokes are much more cleverly written. I mean, and they're more layered. There's several more layers to these jokes. They're very well, some of them are very intellectual jokes if you get to thinking about it a lot. You could just take it on surface level and be like, that's pretty, that's pretty funny. Or even sometimes you find yourself laughing and you're like, I don't know why that's so funny. But some of these things, if you get to look at them, it's like, oh my gosh, there's 3 or 4 different ways to take that joke. And then if you pile on in the later seasons, some of the changes that the character had to go through from the first season, it's like, oh my gosh, there's 5 different layers to this. There's so many dimensions to these jokes. So yeah, I think Mike Judge is going to do a fantastic job with this series. I do hate it that Johnny Hardwick's not in it. I hate it that Tom Petty, I don't guess we'll see Lucky. Probably won't see Luann. Brittany Murphy, man, when I go back and watch that, I think, man, I can't believe as a kid I overlooked such great performances by her as Luann. Anyway, all of that cast does a fantastic job. So I'm super looking forward to that. And I guess that's about all I have there. So with that, pretty exciting chunk of news. I mean, that all hit me all at once, and I was like, man, summer just got good, you know? Oh, yeah. I guess one more thing. Stupid me decided he was going to shield his bass. I have a Fender American Jazz bass. And if you know anything about Fender, this is apparently not uncommon. I love Fender stuff. I mean, like, for the longest time, I couldn't get a hold of any just because I was just broke. I didn't have any money. I still really don't, but like, I was a teenage kid when I was playing guitar, and it was like you played what you were given to you, basically. And then I got in the banjo, and it's not the best banjo in the world, but it's a really good banjo. It's like a Gibson. It's not a Gibson, actually. There's a replica neck that says Gibson on it, but it was like a parts banjo. And I swapped out I worked for some money, and I swapped out the pot and the tone ring, kept the resonator in the neck. I put a new tailpiece on it. So I've modded it out and upgraded it over the years, and it's definitely not a pre-war Gibson or something, but I really like the banjo, this banjo, and it's really cool because I can tighten the head or loosen the head and get really different responses out of it. Everything that I've played that you've heard on this show, the stuff that I've played, but crap, it's probably Schnapp's playing my banjo too. The head's been looser on it, so it's been more of a tubbier, lower type of tone. I tightened it the other day, and it's really got a snap to it. I mean, it's got a Tennessee 20 tone ring in it, and I mean, it's it's just got a pop to it when you tighten up the head. So, but I got in the banjo, and I always wanted a Stratocaster, because especially after I got back into music, because as I was going out of playing music, I bought a Goodell semi-hollow body off of a guy living in West Tennessee, mainly because he would drive to me. I was in Cookville, and I got it for like half price. This, at the time, Ryan Goodell was still alive, but these guitars you would buy them for like $2,000. I think this guy brought it to me and sold it to me for like $800. And I played that a lot, and it's a great guitar. But I always wanted a Stratocaster because that's what Frusciante plays mostly on the Chili Pepper stuff. And I listened to a lot of Buddy Holly, and I knew Richie Blackmore played a Strat. I mean, all these different players play Strats. And I'd always wanted one. And, you know, on these recordings, sometimes you can't tell the difference between a Tele and a Strat, whatever. But I just always wanted one. But I never could get one. And always hearing these different bass players play these basses, you know, the Fender Jazz bass just had this, it's on a lot of these different recordings. You know, people talk about the precision and all this, and yeah, it's really good at doing that one thing. But like all of these different players, a lot of them that have these, you know, creators of these iconic bass riffs, a lot of them are playing the Fender Jazz bass. And it's just like, you know, Fender is just a brand I love. I say that to say this: for as good of a brand as it's supposed to be, boy, they really lack on ground in their instruments, because it picks up all kinds of noise from, especially that bass. It will pick up noise from my computer monitor, and I mean, it's just, sometimes it's a nightmare to get that out of the audio. So I opened the thing up, and I was going to put some copper tape in there to shield it, make a Faraday cage. And I put the copper tape down. But to get it all on there, I had to unattach the pickups. And I looked, there's a wire attached to a screw that's supposed to be to ground it, and then it goes back into the input jack pot. I took that off. In the end, I took it off, and there was less noise when I had it off, ungrounded, when I had it grounded. But whatever. I put all that tape in there, and come time I had to solder the pickups back. Turns out this soldering iron at the house will not get hot enough to get the flux to stick to the pots. So, oh my gosh, I got so mad. And actually, in the middle of soldering, I actually had sometimes I get anxiety attacks. They just kind of come out of nowhere. And usually they're not bad, but this one, for some reason, just hit me, and and right in the middle of soldering too. I mean, I actually got some flux on my leg where it melted and got on. Anyway, I couldn't get it back on, so I had to. I mean, I ended up singeing some of the wires, and I had to take it over to the luthier over in Oak Ridge. His name's Jonathan Goldstein, and if you live near the Oak Ridge area, that guy is a fantastic luthier. I think he charged me like $16 to rewire this thing, and worth every penny. And he did it fast too. So he's, you know, shout out to him. I know he's not listening, but nice guy too. But anyway, yeah, that's my story with the bass. Ugh. And the crazy thing is, I couldn't get the hot pickup on the neck, the hot wire on the neck pickup back to the pot. So I thought the neck pickup wouldn't make any noise. I knew the bridge would. The neck pickup still worked when I hooked it in and tried it, even though the hot wire wasn't. So I don't know what the crap was going on, but yeah. It makes no sense when I say it, but anyway, it worked. But yeah, that's my story there. Let's get to the regular show. Today's episode is More Smarter. So as stated, the episode is More Smarter. It's season 2, episode 24 of the regular show. Production code, well, this one's weird, 1004-039. A little bit different. U.S. viewers, 2.19 million. Okay, cool. Age rating, PG, in the U.S. and the U.K. Cool. Premiere date, June 13th, 2011, October 25th, 2011 in the U.K. Let's see. Anything I need to see here? Nope, nothing up there. So the synopsis here: Rigby tries to prove to Mordecai that he can get by without a high school diploma. That kind of ends up, wow, before we even start this episode, that kind of sets up a major trope with Rigby. Kind of the Rigby's an idiot trope. I mean, we kind of saw it before, but now he's like the idiot of the two idiots. And it sets up an awesome character arc for Rigby towards the end of the series. So yeah, Directed by Mike Roth, written and boarded by Benton Connor and Calvin Wong. So we're right already off the bat. You can probably tell just by the written and boarded by, it's going to be a little bit different from the Baby Ducks episode that we talked about last week. That one got to thinking about it. I don't know if I worded it very eloquently last week, but it seemed kind of the events kind of seemed forced together and glued together, whereas instead of flowing together as one piece, like you've hacked up a tree and glued it together like a puzzle instead of just looking at the tree growing as one piece. Whatever. Sometimes that's really cool. Those Franken episodes can be really cool. Not going to complain about the Baby Ducks episode, even though you're probably saying you are complaining. I'm not. Okay, I'm not. It's a decent episode, but quick cut. Let's see if More Smarter is a better episode. Speaking of better episodes, let's compare it to the Adventure Time that was airing a quote against it or right before it. It is storytelling, and from what I remember of that episode, it doesn't really entice me, as a lot of those earlier episodes don't. This one probably close to being a tie. More Smarter might be better, because there are a couple things in this episode that I remember being pretty entertaining. So, that being said, let's get into the voice actors and then get into the episode. So, voice actors here: Mordecai, High Five Ghost. Computer voice is J.G. Quintel. Rigby is William Salyers. Pops Benson Muscle Man is Sam Marin. Skips is Mark Hamill. Mailman and food truck driver, guess who? Six Ranger, Roger Craig Smith. And teacher is Sunil Malhotra. Hang on, I'm going to have to look this person up. Okay, so it seems that this guy has been in everything. It's mainly as just like fill-in characters, side characters. Like in regular show, he is teacher. Driver, San Francisco, he's additional voices. He is actually in Final Fantasy 13 Part 2 as additional voices. Fortune teller, mail technician. He's in Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, just as basically, I guess, additional voices. Diablo 3, Monsters. More recently, he's been in Mortal Kombat 1 as Kung Lao. Let's see, Skull Island, he's the handsome Merc. The Legend of Vox Machina, that's Gilmore. Trying to see if there's anything else anybody would recognize. The Loud House, he is Newton the News Guy, operator, and Sancho. So anyway, there you go. That's the last of the voice actors. Now let's move on to the episode. Let me pull it up here and we will start. Okay, true to episode format, the dogs downstairs are barking, obviously. What it wouldn't be an episode if that wasn't going on. But true to regular show formula, the show starts with the birds chirping, right? And we actually are out. The first shot is showing the house, but we go immediately inside, and Rigby says, "Okay, you're probably wondering why I brought you here today." Mordecai immediately responds, "Not really." And he's standing there with all this crap on the table, and the thing that sticks out to me is the box of cereal that says sugar frosted sugar bombs. Okay, but he says something about all the drinks in history. All the famous people have drinks named after him. He says Shirley Temple. I think he said Roy Rogers, Arnold Palmer, and the one that's funny, he says John F. Lemonade. He goes, "So what is going to make me rich, you ask?" Something like that. So he starts throwing all this crap in there and naming it off. I think he drops like the bottle of Tabasco sauce in there, like the whole bottle, I think. I could be mistaken on this a little bit, but he's like, basically he's like, "This is the rig juice," which just sounds disgusting. But just immediately, I'm getting Master Shake vibes from Aqua Teen. Specifically, well, there's several episodes. Shake's always coming out with these. He's either coming out with a very stupid product, or he's copying one off. He's trying to steal a product that Frylock makes, and he's basically running it right into the ground. But one that sticks out is the Spirit Journey Formation Anniversary, where Master Shake tries to create a song that that it's supposed to be Geddy Lee singing, and it's supposed to be Zach Wild playing the guitar, and he's like, "That's Zach Wild. The man knows his way around 5 strings," and it's like, seriously? What, did he cut the top string off of his guitar or what? But I mean, it's just like this concoction of, and it's supposed to be like prog rock, and it's basically the song is supposed to replace Happy Birthday. And he's like, "Do do you know how many birthdays there are? We're gonna be rich off the royalties. You know how many birthdays there are for Alok?" And he's like, "Hundreds, literally hundreds." So yeah, that always cracks me. But this is exactly what Rigby's doing right now reminds me of. So this is one of those get rich quick schemes. So Mordecai's like, "I don't think you should drink that." And real quick, the drink looks like a fizzy Mountain Dew type drink. He's dropped pickles in there and everything. Like if he didn't drop all that crap in there, it would look like one of those, maybe like a drink that you would order at Pizza Hut or something, or like I don't know, TGI Fridays or something, like the Shirley Temple, it's like maybe like a Mountain Dew with like saccharin in it or something. I don't know. But he says, "You want some?" And he's like, "No, I don't want none." And he drinks it and he goes, "Oh, I can't," or he goes, "My face feels magical." So he must put beta alanine in there. Um, but Mordecai, he's like, "You want some?" Mordecai's like, "No, I don't think I should be drinking that." And he goes, It just seems stupid." He goes, "Come on, we do stupid stuff all the time. We're like two peas in a pod." And he goes, "No, I'm way smarter than you. It's been that way ever since you dropped out of high school." And he goes, "I don't need no high school diploma." He says, "Whoever uses a high school diploma in real life." And then right then Skips walks up and he's like, "Mordecai Rigby, I'm glad you're here. I got to ask you something." He says, "All right, remember that petting zoo? Uh, there's 9 box turtles there, and each one of them needs 9 feet of space, assuming that, or assuming each turtle needs," and he uses that word assuming, just like you'd see in a math problem. "Assuming each turtle needs 9 feet of space, how many 9-foot planks would I have to buy?" Blah, blah, blah. It's a word math problem. They probably went and, well, I shouldn't say probably, but it kind of seems like they just opened up a math textbook and just read it word for word or something. I mean, it's blatantly, they do that on purpose. I mean, but it's just the humor there is just so blatantly, in your face. But um, Mordecai's like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Rigsman, whoa, 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 Benson, slow down. Rigby doesn't have a high school diploma." And Benson immediately is like, "What? You don't have a high school diploma? Thanks for wasting my time. I'm going to go ask Skips." And he turns around and walks off, and it's like, why didn't he just go to Skips to begin with? I can't even believe he came up to Mordecai and Rigby to start with, because he always ends up going to Skips anyway. Anyway, so this is the point in the episode where they kind of start blitzkrieging you with different types of humor. So Muscle Man and High Fives Goes have walked up off screen, and they hear Benson say, "I'm going to go ask Skips." And Muscle Man, he's like, "Ask Skips what?" And Mordecai's like, "Oh, just some random math problem that Rigby doesn't know how to answer." And Rigby's like, "Stop talking." That's funny. He does that a lot when Muscle Man's there. And he's like, "Just because you have a high school diploma doesn't make you more smarter than me." And Muscle Man says, "Check that grammar, bro." And he says, "What do you mean?" And Muscle Man says, "It's more smart," but it's smarter, but he's like, "It's more smart. It doesn't make you more smart than me." I don't know. It makes you question yourself at times when Muscle Man says it, but I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know. I'm questioning myself now. I'm thinking it's smarter, though. It doesn't make you smarter than me. Anyway, if you know that, you probably are smarter than me, or smarterer. Maybe more smarterer. I don't know. Anyway, Rigby's like, "Doesn't matter. None of this, I don't know. Something about it doesn't matter. Not having a high school diploma, never got nobody nothing, no how. Something, he starts hitting all these negatives. And then right then you hear a horn honk la cucaracha, pa, 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 and it's a burger truck. It says Burger Bros, which reminds me of the game Burger Time. But anyway, Burger Bros drives up, and it's funny because the truck pulls up, and if I'm not mistaken, it teeters to one side and then slams back down. And the guy opens up the side of the truck and he says, free burgers, just today only for everybody who has a high school diploma." Something ridiculous. This is kind of the motif they're going on today. This, I guess, this is the writing style of Mr. Benton here, and where they say something and then immediately, a ludicrous, absurd event happens to contradict what the person just said. That's very Simpson-esque. I gotta add. So this is great so far. So they just keep adding it on. So all the guys run out, and somehow they've gotten their diplomas. I guess they just keep them in their pocket, and they're framed. And most of his diploma is as big as his head, but he's running down the stairs. Woo! I got my diploma. It's right here. And iPods goes to float, and he's holding his. Pops, he's giggling. He's got his, and Benson's even got his, and he's smiling and running. And they're all running out there to the truck with their freaking diplomas. And Rigby's upstairs in the computer room, and he's looking out the top, and he's and he's the anguish he's feeling, and he runs over there, gets a piece of paper, and he writes DIP, and then there's an X on the bottom of it, and he signs his name Rigby, and he takes running off, and he goes, wait, I have a diploma right here, and the guy shuts the camera. View is from inside of the truck, looking out the little pull down window thing, and Rigby's running up to it, and like you see the thing shut down, the shutter go down, and the guy drives off. And he's like, oh, and Mordecai's sitting there eating the burger. He goes, you misspelled diploma, dude. And it shows the paper, and Rigby's wrote, oh my gosh, this episode's rubbing off on me. Rigby's written diploma, DIPLOWMA, diploma. And then there's the X and the Rigby at the bottom. So all that imagery just hits you so fast, like in less than 30 seconds. So this is good stuff right here. So now we get into the metacognitive portion of the episode. Unintentionally at first, but Rigby's like, that's it. I'm going back to high school. And it's like, give it 5 seasons, Rigby. And then Mordecai says, oh, that wouldn't work. It wouldn't work if we were both smart. And he's like, what? No. And he goes, that's how it works, dude. I'm the smart one, and you're my friend. That's our dynamic. And it's almost like the creators are trying to push this on you, because it's not super it's kind of being presented that way, but like this is the first time, I think, to my recollection, that they've really like just shoved this in your face, and it's like, here, take this, But yeah, I really love that though, because it's just like, all right, we're going this direction, Also, I'll be dang, never mind. The next scene is a high school, so I guess Rigby does attempt to go back to high school. I guess I just gave that away. It doesn't work the first time. Big surprise. But it's he's sitting in a classroom, and there's a teacher that looks very much like Eugene Levy from American Pie. I think he's the dad. He plays that one singer guy on A Mighty Wind. I don't remember if he's in Spinal Tap or not. But anyway, he looks, I would be surprised if they weren't like throwing in an Easter egg there. It looks a lot like Eugene. I think that's his name, Eugene Levy or Howard Levy, one or the other. I think it's Eugene though. But he's like, all right, class, this is quite possibly the hardest math problem in the entire world. And I don't know I didn't really even pay attention to what it was, but there was some sort of equation, I'm thinking calculus equation in a box. And up top was a graph in the upper right quadrant. It showed like an acceleration. Well, actually, no, it wouldn't be. It would be a positive slope that kind of flattened off at the top. It wasn't linear. It was some sort of acceleration or accelerative growth. Anyway, yeah. So he's like, whoever can solve this will get their high school diploma. And everybody's like, Rigby. And he goes, oh, did you say diploma? And then he holds his hand out, and the guy drops chalk in it, and he goes up and he writes this, this like 20 line, seems like, answer. And finally he underlines it, and the guy goes, that is correct. Congratulations, Rigby. You will never, ever have to step near another school again. And he pulls out a diploma and hands it to him, and they both throw their hands up in the air, and they're going, whoa. And then you realize Rigby's dreaming, and he's sitting at his desk asleep, and there's slobber running out of his mouth. He's going, oh, and they're all laughing. And the guy's like, Rigby. And he wakes up, So yeah, that's the point in the episode we're at. This is still super Simpson-esque territory. And Rigby goes, can I get my diploma now? And the teacher goes, get out of my class. So the scene cuts back to the park at the house, and Mordecai's playing video games. Rigby's trying to walk upstairs. Mordecai says, you fell asleep in class, didn't you? And he goes, shut up. And he goes, you wouldn't fall asleep so much if you had your high school diploma. And he runs upstairs. He's like, I'll get it on my own. So he gets on the internet and opens up this website, and it's JG Quintel voicing the narrator's website. And it's like, welcome to educationmentor.net or something like that. I don't guess it'd be a .net, but uh, yeah, basically, it's funny the way he voices it. It's just like that's super. It's kind of corny sounding, but it's just very funny. It adds to the appeal of the episode. And Rigby starts. He's like, all right, it says take test. So he clicks on take test, and the first question is, which of the following is not a square? And A is a square and B is a rectangle, if I remember correctly. And Rigby can't figure it out. And he's like, this is too hard. So he throws the chair, which once again reminds me of well, never mind. Just never mind. He throws the chair, he gets frustrated, and he clicks out of it, and then it gets all these pop-ups. It's like free spa, and all this stuff. And he's like, stupid pop-ups, go away. And he starts clicking away, and he goes, huh? And one pops up, and it says Brain Max. I guess it's a nootropic. And it says, increase your intelligence. And Rigby goes, increase your intelligence. So once again, very Homer Simpson. But also, this kind of reminds me of like the scam that Peggy Hill got into when it was like, get your own doctorate, Jeff Goldblum's character sells it to her. But yeah, this is, we're still in that territory. I don't think we're going to leave that territory until probably at least the halfway point in this episode. So obviously he gets the idea, and we get kind of that sinister music, or the ominous music, I guess. We cut to the day that the package gets in, and he's like, starts reading the directions. He's like, use 1 tablespoon per day. Do not use if pregnant or 1 hour after heavy thinking. Blah, 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 blah. And he's like, we'll see results within 30, 40 days. And he's like, what? It's way too long. He says, I'll just take a month worth right now. And and then he says, it doesn't say not to. And it's like, oh my gosh, it just said not to. And then he drinks it, and they even make it even more, I about did it right there. More funnier. To make it even funnier, it zooms in on the side of the bottle, and it says, there's an asterisk there, and it says, use only as directed. And it throws in this stinger, and that's still Simpsons territory. And he starts going, like he's dying, and he's like, his head starts throbbing, he starts sweating. And like I can attest, like if this is a standard nootropic product where, it's got like ginkgo or something that increases like blood flow to the brain, not all this stuff works that way, but a lot of these things, a lot of them increase your, they'll provide acetylcholine, and then they will increase, they'll inhibit cholinase to keep it from breaking down, and then they will turn on, this is bad that I can't remember this, but they'll turn on the receptors that start running through that cholinase as well, so it kind of gives you improved thinking at the time. But like a lot of them are just your basic like ginkgo stuff like that, and some of that stuff does increase blood flow to the brain. If you take too much, it probably would give you a headache, but not to this extent. Anyway, but he took a whole month's worth, so I don't know. I would imagine he would get diarrhea before he would get, whatever he's going through right now. So anyway, all this information starts like pouring into his head. First it's math equations, and then it's like vocabulary. And just to point out, the word raise, R-A-Z-E, goes into his head twice. But he bends down, and all these lights start coming out of him, and like you get this flash, and it kind of reminds me of the scene off the original Terminator where Reese comes back through the portal, or Arnold comes back to the portal, or the T-800, whatever, where they're crouched down, and he gets up. That kind of looks like a recreation of that shot. And Rigby, reality kind of like goes into wireframe there for a second, and then it goes back to normal. And he walks over to the computer, and he says, wait a minute, he goes, I know this now. And it's like, wow, congratulations, you got a product that can teach you the difference between a square and a rectangle. Woo. But to even make matters worse, he goes, wait a minute, I know everything, and it's like, what now? Because the difference between a square and a rectangle, you know everything. So then the scene wipes, and let's see what antics he gets into here. So he's working a crossword puzzle on the couch, and he's, filling it in. Mordecai comes in, and he goes, I got something that'll help you with that. It's called a high school diploma. And he goes, oh, very amusing, Mordecai. And he goes this whole thing, all merriment aside, can you give me an 8-letter word for moron, I think he says. And he's like, I don't know. And he goes, I've tried imbecile, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, wait, I got it. Mordecai. And then Mordecai goes, I don't remember what he says, to be honest with you. But he gets upset and he goes, that's not funny. And then he starts counting letters and he goes, dumb face. And he goes, while dumb face would fit, I'm afraid it's simply too stupid for this crossword puzzle. So, and he goes, and Mordecai, and he goes, now if you'll excuse me, I think. And then he starts chugging the Brain Max again. It looks like he about chokes on it the way he starts just chugging it. Mordecai goes, wait a minute, what's that? That's not Rig Juice. And he grabs it from him and he says, Brain Max. And Rigby tries to grab it back, but it looks like Mordecai does the death block, from episode 2 or 3 or whatever. And he starts chugging it down and he gets a headache and he goes, first of all, I'd like to, and he starts to, I'd like to contradict your earlier statement, blah, 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 blah. And he walks over and he goes, observe. And he starts writing on the window and he goes, this theory proves, well, and, automatically it's like, no, it's a theory. It doesn't prove anything. It's a theory, right? But he's like, this theory proves what I said, blah, blah, blah. And Rigby's like, well, my counter theory proves that. And so they're both doing it. And it's like, no, but whatever. I'm looking over it because it's the regular show. We got to move on. Mordecai's like, well, after you see my 20-page research paper, it's like, when did you have the time to do a freaking 20-page research paper? And it's like, quite honestly, a 20-page research paper really isn't all that big, But anyway, and Rigby's like, well, how'd you see my 20-page research paper? So this is very reminiscent of Grilled Cheese Deluxe. I forgot the episode name there for a second. So we go into probably the most montage-like portion of the episode where, before that, they've been saying tisk tisk the whole time in place of So at the end, they're all like tisk tisk, tisk tisk, tisk tisk. Anyway, they go in like this scene where they're researching crap and writing on papers and marking each other's whatever they're writing out. They're basically all these mathematical quote proofs, but like they're red correcting pencils and all this junk. But they start writing all over the walls and the ceilings and everything. And finally end up in like this battle of the minds, I guess, where there's all these books on the floor and they're floating above them and they're in like the purple nothingness space, like the title card. But there's like these wire grid, this white grid beneath them. And they're arguing and they're like, okay, so in conclusion, your theories do not prove you're smarter than me because your brain's the size of a walnut. And shoots out the word walnut out of his head, like it forms out of his head and then shoots at Rigby and it hits him and he goes, while that is, blah, 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 whatever, your brain is made up of 99% canine butt cheeks. And it shoots out butt cheeks at the words butt cheeks at Mordecai and it hits him and he goes, well, there's still one irrefutable truth. You don't have a high school diploma, so I'm smarter than you, you imbecile. And then he shoots the word imbecile at Rigby and it hits Rigby and like things start going crazy. The books start levitating. Yeah, we're at that point in the episode. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. So Rigby gets mad. He goes, I'm not an imbecile. And he says, if high school diploma will prove I'm smart, then fine, I'll get one. And he goes to the computer and it's like wireframe now. And he tries to take it and he's like, huh? I can't read this. And Mordecai says, probably because you're too stupid. Here, move. So he sits down. He can't read it either. Long story short, they're too smart to be able to read it now. But just this time, Benson, Pops, and Skips walk in, and they see writing all over the walls because where Mordecai and Rigby have just basically written all over the house. Benson walks upstairs to the room, and he's like, Mordecai, Rigby, I don't know what you've done, but get downstairs and clean up, blah, blah, blah. And then you see it from Mordecai and Rigby's point of view. And it's Benson, and he kind of looks like a caveman with like whiskers hanging off his face. And he's like, and Pops looks like this really old caveman. And he's like, and Skips is going, and you can't understand a word they're saying, but like, it's great. There's just this communication breakdown. And then it cuts back to Benson, Pops, and Skip's point of view. And Mordecai's like, in vitro Morianus or something. He's like speaking Latin and Rigby goes, Morianus, and he throws his hands up, like they're frustrated. And this is one of the high points of the episode. I mean, yeah, definitely. So Mordecai and Rigby eventually come to the conclusion that, what's the point of being so smart if you can't understand anybody? So we got to get out of this. What are we going to do? And Mordecai's like, Rig juice. And so they basically jump down to the kitchen, it looks like, in their little world. And Muscle Man and Fives are at the table, and Fives is just like this splotch, Muscle Man looks like a walrus, and it looks like he's eating a steak or something. And they open up the fridge and they're like, "Oh, rig juice," and there's all these like eighth grade equations around. It's like, like the Pythagorean theorems like floating around in the air, and um, they get out the rig juice and they're like, "Pour me some." They pour it in the glass, and you can see like what appears to be like mainly covalent compound or covalent molecules, not compounds. It wouldn't be a compound. Covalent molecules that make up the rig juice, but like water and all that crap. And so they drink it, and they fall through like this, like a vortex or something. They're falling, and now Benson's beside them, and you can tell he's a gumball machine now, and like the gumballs are like red hot and glowing, and he's going, and then finally they're and then they come to, and they're just laying on the floor on their butts, and they're not falling at all. They're laying on the floor, and Benson's like, "Now, if you two don't clean up this graffiti right now, I'm gonna tear you limb from limb." And they're like, "Oh, what just happened?" And Muscle Man says, "Me and Fives were sitting at this table practicing for a pie eating contest when you two losers come down here speaking Spanish or something." Instead of Latin, Spanish. But Fives is like, "Yeah, then you drank some of that green juice stuff." And yeah, so, and Rigby's like, or Mordecai's like, I can't believe you got me to drink that rig juice. And, Benson, "Now clean up all this, blah, 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 or you're fired," walks out. And, basically Mordecai tries to call him dumb one more time. And Rigby's like, "Yeah, but this high school dropout got you to drink rig juice." Mordecai, and he walks off, and Rigby's like, when nobody's around, he takes a sip and he goes, "That's good rig juice." And then it ends. So that's like a Bart thing right there, a Bart Simpson thing. That's the end of the episode. But this episode doesn't have any super high points, like no standout, like really iconic moments in the series, as far as I'm concerned. Although I have seen the caveman Benson skips and pops thing thrown around kind of as a meme, but that was used in a political meme, which I don't think those count because those are ridiculous. But regardless, I don't think there's really a super iconic moment in this episode, but there is a lot of solid moments. And like this episode is pretty consistent all the way through. Like Baby Ducks had a really great ending. The build up to it was kind of, the ending's not as iconic as Baby Ducks, but the whole thing, the bottom line, I should say, is pretty high, and it's consistent all the way throughout. I mean, it's solid. There's nothing really that sticks out, but everything is pretty decently good. And the format, the way they have the humor, this whole episode is, besides the whole surrealist part, is very well. Even actually, the surrealist part reminds me some of the Treehouse of Horror, where Homer and Bart go into the 3D world. Kind of reminds me of that. So this whole episode reminds me a lot of a Simpsons type episode. I mean, with their own spin on it, obviously, because it's just the regular show, whatever. So I got to say, this one, I enjoyed this one better than Baby Ducks. And this one sets up a lot of character development for Rigby. So, very solid episode. My rating for this this is going to be one of them ones that falls in the probably 7.5 area. Probably a little bit higher than Baby Ducks in my book. Well, let's go through real quick and look at some of the trivia, episode connections, and all that, because there seems to be a lot. Trivia, it says, this episode reveals that Rigby never got his high school diploma. It also reveals that Rigby dropped out of high school. The translation for Mordecai and Rigby's conversation in Latin, barring some grammatical errors, is, oh my gosh, I can't even read this. Querum ha vicio Morianus, whose theory, and then it says writing, really, is, let me scroll over here. I can't scroll over on this screen. It says whose writing is really wrong. And then Rigby replies with, your theory started this whole thing. And Mordecai says, and it would have made me the master. It would have made me the master and the other stupid. Okay, see, I never knew that. I never translated. That's kind of like the Lady Rainicorn things on Adventure Time. I went back and looked at some of the translations on those just to see if they like snuck any dirty language in there or something. But anyway, it's yeah, it's one of those things, I guess. Let's see, pop culture references. Rigby references the 1979 rock opera Pink Floyd, The Wall, by saying, "I don't need no high school education." Whereas in Pink Floyd, obviously we don't need no education. Pink Floyd, represented by the students oppressed in a totalitarian school, sing, "We don't need no education," in Another Brick in the Wall scene. I do love the solos in that song, but honestly, I think that's part 2, the one that always gets played on the radio, or maybe part 3. I like the first one better than that, the setup to that. Not the one, "How will I complete the wall?" And then the very first one, something about, I think it's the one that's like, "Daddy went away across the ocean," or something. I don't know. Anyway, um, other reference, the episode plot is a throwback to Flowers for Algernon, where Rigby is doing, oh my gosh, I gotta keep scrolling. Rigby is doing a crossword puzzle. Algernon is even the answer for a downward answer. Sorry, it's getting late. The scene where Rigby answers the extra credits question in class mirrors the opening scene of the 1998 movie Rushmore, even using the same question. Okay, I didn't know that. This has been stated by J.G. Quintel as one of his favorite movies. Cool. Let's see, production notes. In the original storyboard, Rig Juice was called Rig Brew. Brain Max was called Brain Adry. I don't know. When Mordecai says, "You don't have a high school diploma, so I'm smarter than you, you imbecile," he says idiot instead of imbecile. Likewise, Rigby responds, "I'm not an imbecile." That also originally had idiot. The episode received 2.19 million views worldwide. So there we go. Goofs. Mordecai is revealed to have a high school diploma in this episode. However, in regular show the movie, it's revealed that Mordecai got expelled from high school along with Rigby, so he could have not. He could not have gotten a diploma. And that is the basis for. Was that? I thought Rigby just messed with his college application in the movie. I need to cover the movie. I really liked the regular show movie. The Velvet Underground song they used there, finally one for the Velvet Underground, an actual use for it. Not really, I'm just kidding, but let's see. Last bit of trivia. When Rigby remarks that his face feels like magic after drinking Rig Juice, one of his ears is colored the same as his lower body than brown. Okay. So that's all the trivia and goofs and everything. Yeah, cool. Seems like they hit just a little bit of everything in there. So, folks, we are approaching the end of season 2. Not too many episodes left. We have first day. So that's actually, I think that may have been the first episode, like the originally intended first episode of this show. I'm not sure, though. I think I've read that, but I'm not 100% sure. But that's basically about Mordecai and Rigby's first day. I think that's the one where they play Rochambeau or rock, paper, scissors. I don't remember a whole lot about it except Shears Parchment Quartz or something from Pops. I don't know. I'm thinking that this episode is a better one, though, but I'm not sure. We'll find out. This one actually pleasantly surprised me because I keep saying that about these season 2 episodes because I really do. When it rolls around to these episodes where I think, I got to watch that one, I always skip over that one. But I go back and I watch them and it's like, man, there were so many little things that I overlooked. So I'm hoping this is one of those episodes. Go Viral. I think that's the one where they try to make the video that goes viral and they jump up into a different world off the trampoline and Pops is up there. Skunked. That's one that reminds me a lot, a mixture of the one where Rigby hires the scab worker. What is that? Temp Check? Yeah, Temp Check. And it also reminds me some of the Jinx episode because the skunk kind of reminds me of the Jinxed monster. But, it has the dead animal bingo on it, so I'm looking forward to that. And Karaoke Video is the season finale, and that one gets mixed opinions. I see some people say that they hate that, and it's the worst episode. Some people love that episode. I think as far as I can remember, I am of the latter opinion. I tend to love that episode because, well, we'll talk about it when we get there, but it is one of those episodes where it's all the guys come together, Avengers Assemble type moments. And I tend to like that stuff. So, and then on season 3, actually, I should probably mention ahead of time to where I don't blindside you with this when we get there. I'm probably going to end up taking it might be maybe a month after season 2 before season 3 drops. And I'll be recording at that time and I'll be setting everything up, but it's to basically get me ahead to where I can get this 15 show buffer built back up. I know that sounds dumb, but there's also other projects that I need to be working on. I've got some things I think I'm going to be voicing for a couple of different shows outside of this one. And we'll also probably be doing a little bit of Turtle Tales stuff, I shouldn't say probably, maybe. But I think maybe I might be on Retro Junkies as like a character. And I don't remember the show on YouTube, but there was a guy that I did a voice for Reno, I think the character's name was, for a Ninja Turtles comic. Farillo, something like that. It's like a guy getting interviewed on the news or something. But there's things I'm going to be doing like that, and I got to catch up on a little bit of music production because I have some songs. Well, I don't. Okay. And as much as I hate doing it, the interns, Marceline's Playground hasn't screwed up too much. I mean, actually, I got to take that back. They've screwed up a lot, but if for nothing else, when Ben Tramer he looks at me with that look, and it's like, man, we really need your help. These imbeciles don't know what they're doing. And when Ben asks, I mean, I can't really say no. And he didn't really ask with words. He just kind of waved, and pointed at the computer, did a couple little hand motions, and then just kind of stared at me and breathed through that mask of his. But I could interpret, dude, that this band's got some songs completed that need mastered. And I'm not the best mastering engineer, and I'm not very good at mixing. I'm okay. I've gotten better. Actually, I'd say I've gotten a lot better, but I'm still nowhere near a professional mixing artist. I can make a decent song, but it takes me so long to do it, whereas these guys can do it in 6 hours. It might take me a month just because of all their other stuff going on. But there's songs completed that Marceline's Playground needs me to master. And I don't want to just go through there and throw it through Isotope and be like, okay, this is spitting out the product. I want to actually make sure that I do a decent job. So that's going to take a little bit of time, just things like that. Yeah. Speaking of Ben, man, watching him one time play his synthesizer, you guys ought to see it. It's crazy. You know how Buckethead, he's up on stage and he's got the nunchucks. Ben does the same thing, but it's crazy. It's not nunchucks. I think they're like rubber ducks attached to like a string or something, and he's doing all these tricks and stuff. It's crazy. Guy's got some swagger to him. Crazy. He rarely says anything though. I mean, he could say so much with just a look. Anyway, yeah, so, there's just a few things I need to get caught up on and need to get ahead on this show. So that'll be a ways down the road, though. If we're talking another 4 weeks or something, and really, honestly, a month will be just the time that 2 shows will come out. So please stick around. It's just a way of getting ahead. Because full transparency, before this show ever got put out, like I was making shows. I had at least 10 made before I put the first one out. And that was on top of the Turtle Tales stuff that I was doing. So I had season 2, I had started doing that before I had even put out season 1. And really season 1 was just a rehash of a lot of the stuff that came out on Turtle Tales Radio. But anyway, enough of the BS Bologna Sandwich history of this show that, has 20 listeners. And I do appreciate those 20 listeners. Thank you very much. We got to get rolling on, folks. I will be back after that short hiatus because the shows are there. I may as well put them out. I just need a little time to catch up. That's all. Show's not coming to an end. Please don't cancel your subscription. It's free. So don't forget about us. And who knows? Maybe if I get time, I might put out a show there. It may just be like, well, let's just move through it. I don't know. But yeah, 7.5 show. Thank you for subscribing, following, any type of share you can give or recommendation to a friend or whatever to grow this show, because it's been stagnant, and that's okay. But I really would like to grow it just to, if nothing else, open up other opportunities. Because I was, tickled when I think it maybe Rob emailed me. He said this guy wants us to voice these characters, and he probably just wanted Rob, to be honest with you, but that's usually how that crap goes. But I'm so glad he let me do it, though. But yeah, just to open up other opportunities for collaboration, even if I'm not looking for money. I like collaborating with people and making projects that are bigger than, myself. And up to this point, basically everything that's been made has just been myself. So, I kind of like, branching out. But that's it for this episode. And thank you for listening. Come on back, and maybe next time we'll have a sponsor. So until then, insert line of wisdom right here. See y'all.